Hi guys, Olivia here, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. Today is Friday, September 24th, and I am back for my stitching update. It has been 2 weeks since my last one, so I hope you've all been well and you've been stitching and making and creating all of the things. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. This is a video podcast where I talk about my cross stitching and my quilting. However, if you are not interested in seeing or hearing about the quilts, I talk about those a little bit later on in the video, and I let you know in plenty of time that they'll be making their appearance so that way you can go on to the next Flosstube video. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. Well, as you can probably tell, I have decorated for Halloween. We recently welcomed the autumn solstice, and that to me is sort of the go-ahead to begin decorating for Halloween. So I've got little areas in the house decorated. I still have a few more things that I need to bring out and kind of fix a few things, but I just wanted to get a little bit started. It's still very much summer here. Today it's supposed to be almost 90. We've had a few cooler days, which was really, really nice, but like this past week it's been hot. And because it rained over the weekend, and as it heats up it gets very muggy, and I think the weather's about ready to change, but yeah, it's going to be really warm here today, and then tomorrow I think it's supposed to cool a little bit, but you know, summer's still holding on. I haven't really felt that fall crispness in the air, so I'm hoping that maybe next week we will, but it's kind of sad because a lot of my flowers are done. There's still a few that are hanging on, so I don't know, it's a tug of war. I enjoyed seeing all of my flowers, but at the same time I'm ready for the change in the season. So, but I did start decorating. I know I typically leave the quilting for later on the video, but I'm going to get a lot of questions about the quilt that's hanging up behind me. So this is Hocuspocusville. It is a hand embroidered quilt. It is not a panel. And I know when I posted it on Instagram the other day, I had a lot of questions about it. And, you know, a lot of it was from cross stitchers who don't quilt, but they were curious about the panels. And so the embroidery was drawn onto some muslin, and then I hand stitched it, and I did a stem stitch for all of the blocks. It is stitched in DMC 310, and in certain areas there are pumpkins, and those are stitched in orange. But the pattern is still available, and I will put a link to the shop online. And again, I'll talk about it in the quilting part of the video, but I did have a lot of questions about that. So before I start talking about cross stitching, I wanted to share a funny story. I hope that everybody's heard of Elf on a Shelf. It was really popular several years ago, and I know you can still buy the little dolls. But when it started to gain in popularity, there was a company that made Ghoul on a stool. And it came out, I want to say like 6, 7, 8 years ago. My son, Ethan, was in elementary school when it did. And my friend, who is a kindergarten teacher, she had the Ghoul on a stool because it came as a little stuffed animal. And I'll put a picture of what he looks like. But it's a little stuffed animal, and it comes with a book. And then, you know, so at Halloween, she'll read it to her class. Well, because Ethan was small, she decided to get us one. So in the years that have followed, Ethan and I, so it started off, he was hiding it because he would watch videos about Elf on the Shelf. So he decided to start hiding and putting Ghoul on the stool in various places around the house. And then I would find him and like, oh, ha, ha, I saw you'd hit it, you know, such and such place. So then I started doing it back to him. So we take turns hiding it, and then when the other one finds it, you know, they have to go hide it, and so on and so forth. So it comes out with the Halloween decorations, and so from the time those come out until Halloween, when the day after they get put away, we spend all of October hiding Ghoul on the stool all over the house, various places. So with the decorations coming out, I went and I hid it first, and it actually he didn't see it for probably an entire day. He walked past him many, many times. I have a wreath that's hanging on the bathroom door, and I had shoved him into the wreath. And because we have kind of dark wood on the doors, you couldn't see him very, very well because he kind of, you know, his outfit blends in. So it wasn't until Ethan had went to go take a shower and he had the door open and the light was shining that he found the ghoul on the stool. So of course, you know, he went and hid them. So fast forward to last night, he found the ghoul on his shelf in his room. So he hid it from a hook that is in the other room. And when I came out to take Freddie to the bathroom at like 10 o'clock at night, I saw it. So I took it down and I was trying to figure out where to put him for the morning. And I saw Ethan's backpack sitting there. So I went and I put it in his school backpack. And I zipped it up so that only the tip of the ear was showing, thinking that in the morning he'll come out, he'll get his backpack, he'll see the little ear sticking out, and when he gets home he'll hide it. Well, this morning when I was sitting at the table doing my morning stitch, I look over and Freddie was trying to get the ear out of the backpack. And Freddie is a master shredder, and if you let him have anything, he'll just shred it. So I definitely did not want him to destroy the ghoul. So I walked over there and I shoved the ear down into the backpack and zipped it up, figuring that when he came out, he would unzip it. Only he didn't. So the ghoul on the stool went to school with Ethan. And I can only imagine what happened when he got, because they didn't assign lockers this year because of COVID. So they're having to carry backpacks with all of their stuff to all of their classes all day long. And so I can only imagine, because he wouldn't have looked at his binder in his first period, it would be in his second period, which I believe is English. So I can only imagine what happened. You know, here he's in a room full of students, he opens it up and the ghoul's gonna just pop right out. Anyway, so the ghoul on the stool went to school, and I thought it was really funny, and I wanted to share that story. And again, hopefully I will have inserted a picture of what he looks like. He's really cute, but yeah, that's just kind of our tradition. We hide it all over the house, everywhere. I mean, he always makes appearances. I think last year during this time, during the October, I think there was one time I did a video and he was in the tree, and I just left him in the tree during the whole video, and then I went and hid him. So anyway, but it was a lot of fun, and I had to share that story because I thought it was really, really funny. So before I start talking about what I've been working on over the past 2 weeks, I wanted to share some happy mail that arrived. I was contacted by a fellow Oregonian stitcher, Florence, she'd been going through her stash and she'd come across some extra charts that she had, and so she wanted to send them to me to offer up as future giveaways. So the first chart that she sent me is Sweetheart Hill by Plum Street Samplers. And then Liberty's Welcome, also by Plum Street Samplers, and I can tell you right now that this one is so much fun to stitch. And then from Brenda Gervais with the Needle and Thread is the Needleworkers Sampler, and I've seen this one stitched up. It's beautiful. And then also by Brenda Gervais is Hannah Ann Wallace, 1850. Caroline Amelia Trowell by Brenda Gervais. It's beautiful. I love this one. I just recently saw somebody on Instagram finish it, and it's gorgeous. Pink Sparrow Sampler by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread, and this one is also beautiful. I've seen it in person and the colors are gorgeous. From Blackbird Designs, What Remains. This is an exclusive chart from Traditional Stitches in Canada. And a piece of 32 count tin roof. So thank you so much, Florence, for sending those to me, and at some point they will be future giveaways. And then about a month ago, Patty contacted me and she sent me a gift certificate for a shop on Etsy. It's one I had never heard of before, and I also didn't realize that the gal that runs the shop also has a Flosstube channel. So not only did I find a new cross-stitching shop, but I also found a new Flosstuber to watch. And the gift certificate was for a place called Annabelle's. And that is also the name of her Flosstube as well. And I will put a link to her Etsy shop as well as her Flosstube down below. But I kind of went back and forth on what to get because she has like such a wide variety of stuff in her Etsy shop. There's basically something for everyone, which I like. So I kind of went through and I went back and forth on what I should get. And I finally decided that I was going to get this one. So this is called The Winter Is Past by Blackbird Designs. Such a beautiful one. I love the colors of this sampler so much. And then if you followed my stitching journey during 2020, you know that I worked on the Anniversaries of the Heart series. And I worked on it the whole entire year. And I just had the best time. And I found myself this past year really missing working on something like that. It was so much fun, and so many of you guys, you know, joined me along the way, and a lot of you guys decided to stitch it this year. So I was really, really missing it. And so I kind of went and researched, you know, some of the series that, you know, Blackbird had released over the years, and they have two. One is called In the Garden, and the other one is called For the Birds. And I like both series, and eventually I would like to stitch both series. But when I was in her shop, and I felt like it was meant to be, but she had two charts from the In the Bird series. And the first one I got is number 8, The Summer Beaming Forth. And then I got number 6, Pleasure of the Fleeting Year. So I've decided that next year I will split up the remaining blocks, and I will slowly collect them. And then the next year, I think I might plan to do it as a New Year, New Start. So I'm already like planning a year out, but it's easier for me to slowly collect things instead of do it all at once. And it's fun that way because then you get to anticipate the start that will eventually come. And I can't wait. I am going to personalize it just like I did with my Anniversaries of the Heart. That one's not so much, you know, where Anniversaries of the Heart was very much, you were supposed to put a loved one's initials and information. This one isn't, so I'm going to manipulate it a little bit so that way I can do something very similar. So, but that's like a year from now. A little over a year from now. So it'll be my 2020, is this 21? So it'll be my 2023 start. And I also realized that when I started my Anniversaries of the Heart, Allison started her freshman, she was a freshman in college when I started it. And when I start the For the Birds, she will be in her senior year of college. So it'll be at the same time because she was starting her winter term of her freshman year, and she will also start her winter term of her senior year. So I'm excited. I hope I said senior. My son's a sophomore. Sometimes I get the two. It's like I get the years mixed up. But so I started Anniversaries winter term of her freshman year, and I will start For the Birds the winter term of her senior year. So it'll be something fun to look forward to. And then I also got a package from the Fat Quarter Shop of a new item that is available now. And that is, it's called Floss Flower Thread Bobbins. And they sent me 2 packages. And I will also offer these up as a giveaway a little bit later on in the video. But these items are currently available now on the Fat Quarter Shop's website. And I will put a link to the shop and where you can get the thread bobbins down below. And I think you could really have a lot of fun with this. And I'm sorry that I have a light and I have the curtains pulled and it's throwing off a wicked glare. But you could really have some fun with this. And you could honestly use it for a whole bunch of different things. So thank you so much to the Fat Quarter Shop for sending those to me. I I realized that when I was putting, because as I go through the different, I kind of segment my videos up. I mean, if you've watched me for any length of time, you know that I like pause in between different things. It helps with the uploading of the videos itself, but I realized that when I went to go take my Happy Mail into the other room to make room for what I've been working on over the past 2 weeks, that I forgot to say thank you to Patty. I mean, I've already talked to Patty, but thank you so much. And that was so sweet and generous of her to send me a gift certificate, and it's really cool that I found a brand new place to shop online, but thank you so much. I did that part of the video like 3 times because I kept messing up. So, and I realized I forgot to say thank you. So thank you so much. Okay, so let's talk about what I've been working on over the past 2 weeks. So I should probably tell you guys that I changed my rotation, or how I approach my rotation, up a little bit. I was talking with Yvette, who is my cross-stitching guru. And whenever I am, struggling with the, like wanting to work on something else, or, not feeling like I'm not getting enough progress, I usually contact her, and then she like tells me how to fix it. And I fix it and everything's wonderful. So we were talking back and forth, and I've decided to add more days to everything that I'm working on. So in each video, you'll see, you'll see everything that I'm currently working on, but I won't work on them all during like the 2-week breaks in between videos. So you'll see the different projects as we go along, but I'm just giving them more days than I was. Originally, I was only giving them 3 days, and now I'm giving each project 2 days, or 5 days, except for Turkey Hollow, which it's only getting 2 days. But I wanted to make some more progress on everything that I'm working on. I have Anne Priest that I want to get done before the end of the year. I also want Christmas Rose finished before Christmas. So in adding more days to it, I'm making more progress than I would typically. So far, it's worked very, very well. I've been doing it for 2 weeks now, and I really like having that extra time to work on everything. And eventually, my goal is to get down to where I have finished all the whips out of my mocking basket of whips, and I'm only currently working on my current projects. So eventually I will get there. It'll probably take me a little bit of time because everything is huge that's in my whip basket. All right, so the first thing I worked on is Christmas Rose by Blackbird Designs. I started this one a couple weeks back after I finished Cherry Hollow by Stacy Nash. So this one I'm hoping to get done before Christmas this year, because I'd like to get it framed and have it out for display this year. These are the threads that I'm using. So it's all Weeks Dye Works, and it's all those Christmassy earth tones. And here is my progress. So this one I did not work on for 5 days. This one I picked it up after my last video. I worked on it for a couple of days, and then I switched over to Turkey Hollow. So I think this one was like at the beginning of, my new rotation. I'm stitching it on a piece of 36 count vintage homespun by R&R with the called for threads 1/2. So I really love how it's turning out. It went quite fast. I think in my last video I had started the alphabet, and so I was able to finish the deer. The only thing I didn't do is you're supposed to put some initials up here. I haven't done that yet. So this is a little bit of, there's like a flower, some trees over here, and then there's the house that's right here. So hopefully when this comes into my rotation again, which won't be until next month, I will be able to get the house done and maybe just kind of get this whole row right here done. But I love it. I love the colors. I just love it. I love it. It's definitely my, like the colors of Christmas that I like. I like those like earth tones and those kind of colors. And so that's like the perfect one for me. So next up is Pineberry Lane, Home Sweet Home. I started this one a couple of months ago. It's been my morning stitch on and off since then. And here is my progress. So I finished everything but the 2 initials. And I think originally I was going to put my 4 times great grandmother. And then in my last video, I changed my mind and thought, well, I would put her in a sampler. Since then, I've changed my mind again and decided just to go ahead and put her initials on this one. And I figure, you know, it's my samplers. I can just, at some point, I can still put her on a sampler. She'll just be on 2 different ones, and it's totally fine. There's no cross-stitching police to tell me that I'm doing anything wrong. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put her initial on this one. She was born in 1849 in South Carolina, and her initials are M and W. So I'm stitching this on a piece of 36 count antique white with the called for DMC 1/2. And once I finish and I put her initials on here, I am going to do the walnut crystal and kind of distress it, make it look rusty crusty. And I'm hoping, because to me when I look at this, it looks like it's long and narrow. So I'm hoping it's still going to fit in the frame. I have some 5x7s. I'm hoping that it's still going to fit in one of those. When I did the calculations, it was supposed to. So I'm hoping that is still the case. But if not, I'll figure something else out. Anyway, that one's been a lot of fun. I think my goal in these next 2 weeks is to try to find a little bit of time to stitch those initials and just kind of get that done. Because I have this one and 2 other smalls that I want to do the walnut crystals on, and I want to do them kind of all at the same time. They're sort of my test pieces. All right, next up is Anne Priest, 1841 by the Scarlett House. So this one I did stitch on for 5 days. I had a lovely time working on her. And here is my progress. So when I started out the 5 days, I was at the verse. I think I might have had just a little bit of this left to do, or maybe the, you know, when I started, I don't necessarily think I started right in on the over 1 stitching. I might have started on this border. But for the majority of the 5 days, I did work on the verse. It is stitched 1/1, but instead of doing a full cross, I did a 10th stitch. And in any of the sampler where there was over 1, like there's a couple of little birds that are over 1, I also did a 10th stitch. So a 10th stitch is not a full cross, it's half of the cross. So you make your first stitch, you usually go up and down, and then you come back over to complete the cross, and I just did the 1 leg of the X. And I think it looks really, really good. It did go quite a bit faster than if I would have stitched the full cross. And also if I felt like it needed to have that full cross, I would just go ahead and put it in. I think it looks really, really great. I love it. And I love the fact that I got the over 1 verse done, because I'm the type of person who saves the hard stuff for last. And then it sits and sits. So I just have a little bit of over 1 left to do. Up in this area right here, there's a heart, and then this is a Bible verse, and up here it says Psalms, and it says what the Bible verse is. So I love this. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm looking forward to getting back to it again. I think it comes back into my rotation the 14th of October. I already looked because I'm already anxious for her. I try to do, I know that this month is Sampler September, or September Sampler Soiree. I can never say that word right. When I started off the month, my plan was to work on this as my morning stitch. And so the thought was that at least every single day I would get a half hour of stitching on it. And then I was curious about how far I would get. Well, I actually didn't end up working on it in the mornings. Especially since it was that over 1. On this one I did, like down here, I did do 1 motif each morning, but then when I hit this over 1, I knew there was no way that I was going to be able to stitch those tiny little stitches in the mornings. So when I just moved her back up into my regular rotation and worked on her for 5 days. I love her. She's beautiful. I can't wait to get her done. I'm stitching and priest on a piece of 40 count caramel by Saraphim Fabrics 1/2 with the called for thread. But she's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And here is the thread that I am using. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous colors. I love it. She is such a joy to work on. I really look forward to working on her. I've had a lot of people tell me that I should just go ahead and work on her until she's done, but honestly, that'd be a very, you know, when I do my Flosstube videos, I'd be like, this is what I worked on. All right, well, have a good day, bye. People would be like, no, wait, what? All right, so next up is Turkey Hollow Farm by Stacy Nash. This one has been my Wednesday-ish stitch, and I'm working on it with Yvette and Christy from Crosshatch Quilts. This one kind of gets, it is a Wednesday stitch, but it also kind of gets bumped around to add more days too. So like this past week and the week before, I worked on it Tuesdays and Wednesdays. But here is my progress so far. So I was able to finish the second page. I moved on to the third one, and I've been working on, well, I worked on the house. I finished the scarecrow, or I guess he's not a scarecrow. I finished the man, and then I moved on to the house, and I worked on the house on Wednesday night. I really love the variegation on it. It is Weeks Dye Works Whiskey, and it just has a great variegation to it. I love it. I'm stitching this on a piece of 36 count antique white with the called for Weeks Dye Works 1/2. And I'm going to make a couple of changes to the farmer. On the chart, I didn't realize it. I thought he was holding like a hoe or a shovel, but it's actually a gun. And I decided I didn't want him to shoot my turkeys, so he is going to be holding a pumpkin, and he's going to have a pumpkin at the base of his foot, or maybe I will stitch a hoe and put a pumpkin somewhere. But I thought, I don't want him to kill my turkeys. So that's going to be one change that I will make. I haven't quite decided what I will do yet. And then when this one is done, I will also distress it with the walnut crystals. And I'm hoping to get this done, you know, soon. I'd like to have it at least up maybe in November. So we'll see. I'm not going to like race to get it done or anything like that. I'm just going to enjoy my time on it. But I really enjoy stitching on it, and I'm looking forward to getting back to it next week. Oh, and these are the threads. So just beautiful, beautiful fall threads. I love them. Love them, love them, love them. Okay, and then that brings me to Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow. So this one, I haven't shown it in the last 2 videos, I don't think, because I have not worked on it in at least a month. But it did come back into my rotation, so I started working on it last night. I will work on it tonight, and I will work on it for the 3 days following. But here is my progress. So, a couple of things I decided to do in regards to this one. I think I talked about there's 2 blocks, these 2 right here, which are very much Halloween blocks. And I decided that I wanted to keep this one more fall. And I was going to go into, because I have Houses of Hawk Run Hollow, Village of Hawk Run Hollow, and Farms of Hawk Run Hollow. And I thought I would go in there and I would just pull 2 blocks and I would stitch them in place of the Halloween ones. Well, I've decided I'm not going to do that. I'm actually just going to leave the blocks off and just bump these 2 up here. So mine's going to be a little bit shorter, but that's okay. I just didn't really, you know, these blocks are very labor intensive, and I did not feel like stitching the same 2 blocks over again in the other, you know, like if I pulled a house out of Houses or I pulled the church out of Village, I didn't want to have to stitch it twice. So I'm gonna cheat, and I'm gonna just leave off the Halloween blocks, and then when I get to Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow, they'll be substituted for 2 of the blocks in that one. So I stitched, I think last time I had finished the dog. I worked a little bit on the tree. I finished the grass behind the dog. And at the base of the tree is a squirrel. I tried to finish it last night. That way at least there would be a squirrel with a head at the base of a tree. But I was getting way too tired and I had made a couple mistakes and I thought, no, I'm just gonna stop. So I will pick this back up tonight, finish the squirrel and go on from there. So I'll be interested to see how far I can get in these next couple of days and having it in my rotation for 5 days. I'm hoping I will make quite a bit of progress, but I love this one. So I'm stitching it on a piece of 40 count Vintage Country Mocha with the called for DMC, except for the box that is around the block. I guess it would be the border that's around the block. I ended up changing that one to better match the border that is around this one. I think I had mentioned in my last video that when I was stitching the one underneath it, the border, you use DMC 3371, and I noticed as I was stitching with it, it didn't match the border color of the one that I had done back in 2018. So there was definitely a dye lot issue. So I went into my box of DMC and I found one that closely resembled that particular color, and I think it's 3781. And I meant to make a note to let you know what that was. But what I will do going forward is, because this is the block where the dye lot is different, so I will, in the blocks as I go, I will change the border color so it'll go like this one's changed, this one's changed, this one changed, and then on down to the bottom. That way it looks like I did it on purpose, because I also noticed that this one is also, because I did the top first, and so that one matches this one. So it must have been, you know, because 3371, I've used it so much in so many different things that, you know, it's hard telling. I might have used a skein that was older that had been in my stash, and I just didn't notice it at the time that it was different because I was using a Q-snap. So I would have had it, you know, I would have had it covering some of it, and I would not have noticed it at the time. So instead of unpicking it and putting in the new, you know, the 3371 that matches these two, I just decided to roll with it, find something very similar, and just go with the flow. I did have a giveaway in my last video, and thank you so much to everybody who entered to win. I enjoyed reading through all of your comments. It made me very, very hungry. There was a lot of delicious foods that you guys are getting ready and getting excited about making as we approach the autumn season here in the northern hemisphere, and the southern hemisphere. They're getting ready to enjoy their spring summer dishes. So I enjoyed reading through everybody's comments. Really made me hungry. And thank you to everybody who entered to win. So I have went and done the random name picker for the 4 prizes. So the first prize and the first winner is for this Hello Summer, and the winner is Laura Summers. The second giveaway is this quilt pattern called Whirlwind, and the winner is Stitching Granny of 17. Number 3 was for the So Happy Cross Stitch by Lori Holt, and the winner is Sharon, and I'm sorry if I butcher your last name, Mahone. I hope I got that right, Sharon Mahone. And if I said your name wrong, let me know. And then number 4 was the kit that is an exclusive from the Fat Quarter Shop. It is the Stitch Quarterly, the Autumn Spice. So it comes with the chart and everything to stitch the chart, needle minder, project bag. And the winner is Tina McNamara. I'm going to say McNamara. I don't think that's right, but it's Tina McNamara. Hopefully I said that one right as well. You know, sometimes I write the names down and I say it out loud and it sounds just fine, and then when I go to film these videos, it just doesn't sound right, and then I worry that I'm like completely butchering your name, because when I when I was growing up, my maiden name was Limebach. And so you can imagine it got butchered every which way you could possibly butcher a last name. So I know what it's like when somebody butchers your last name. Occasionally my married name, you know, it's Gust. But when people look at it, they're like, Quest? They're like, Gust? Like the wind? Anyway, so I apologize if I butchered any of your names. But if you guys could get a hold of me, I will put my contact information in the description box, the description box down below. If you could email me your address, I will get these prizes out in the mail to you. I will also do my very best to comment on your comment. But thank you so much for playing, and congratulations to the winners. All right, so this video also has a giveaway. Before I show you what the giveaway items are, there are several. And whenever I do multiple giveaways, I assign a number to that giveaway. So if it's something that you are interested in winning, you want to make sure that after or at some point in the answer to the question, you are putting the number or numbers that you are interested in, because that is how I search for the giveaway winners. So if you are answering the question, but you're not putting what you are interested in winning and your name comes up, I don't know what you're interested in, and I have to go to the next name. So you definitely want to make sure that when you are answering the question that you are putting the number or numbers of the items that you are interested in winning. I hope that makes sense. So this video will have 3 giveaways, but 2 of them are the same thing, and that is the flower floss bobbins that the Fat Quarter Shop so generously sent me to share and show with all of you guys. So there will be 2 winners, and so if you're interested in winning this, you will just put number 1 in your comment, and then when I go to pull a winner, I will just pull 2 winners that both said number 1. These bobbins come with 12. There are various colors in it. So they will be very, very cute to display your cute threads for your cute projects. So if you're interested in winning that, it is number 1. And number 2, I'm so excited to show all of you guys. So you might have remembered a couple of weeks back, Kathy Firth sent me the most beautiful wooden scissor bee-skep that I have ever seen in my entire life. Her husband Peter made it, and mine is made out of cedar. And since then, they ran out of cedar, and they have made them out of a peach tree that was on Peter's father's. It was a peach tree that Peter's father had planted. And so that is what they made this bee-skep out of. So this is made out of peach wood. It is absolutely gorgeous. So, so gorgeous. And Peter has made these, and Kathy and him have been selling them, and they have gotten a lot of stitchers with, purchasing the bee-skeps. There are various ones, and you can go to Kathy's Instagram, which is, and I want to make sure I get this right. It is Carolina Cross Stitcher on Instagram, and I will put a link to Kathy's Instagram down below. But I saw a couple of posts back. They had various scissor skeps scissor holders that they had made. So they had the bee-skeps, and then they had some other ones too. And they're absolutely all gorgeous. Peter does a fantastic job on them. They're just so, so amazing. I use mine every single day. It's on my nightstand. It holds the scissors that I'm using for the evening, and I love it. So Kathy contacted me and told me that she wanted to send me a bee-skep to give away to one of you guys. So if you are interested in winning this bee-skep, this will be number 2. And thank you so much to Kathy and Peter for sending this to me. It was so very generous and kind of you guys. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Like I said, I use mine every day, and I love it. So if you're interested in winning, it's number 2. And if you would like to purchase one or inquire about purchasing one, I will put Kathy's email and Instagram down below. So the question that you will need to answer, as well as choosing number 1 or number 2 or both, is, because I'm nosy, I would like to know the name of your town that you live in. I live in Woodburn, so I would like to know what town you live in. And all you have to do is answer that question down below. Put if you're interested in number 1 or number 2 or both, Thank you so much to the Fat Quarter Shop and Kathy and Peter Firth for sending me the items to give away in this video. And of course, next time I will announce those 3 winners. And thank you so much for playing. I did want to show you one thing before I start talking about quilting. And my husband, since the decoration started coming out, he kept asking me if I was going to show this one particular cross stitch that I finished a couple of years ago. And he's been after me, and at first I was like, I'm not going to show it, or maybe I'll show it, and then it was, well, maybe I'll show it later on. So I just decided I would just go ahead and show it. He's been waiting he watches my video, so he's been waiting this whole entire time to see if I do show it. And that is this one. So this is called Boobie by Hindsight, and I finished this one a couple of years back. My husband bought it for me as a kit. I think he got it from Shepherd's Bush or Shepherd's Needle or something like that. But he bought this for me. I don't remember if he got it for me for Christmas or if he just bought it for me just for fun. But I stitched it up. It didn't take very long. And then this is a frame that I found at Michael's. It's kind of it's not a shadow box, but it does have a little bit of a lip in between it, because there is beading. Yes, there is beads on the wings of the Boobie. Anyway, I don't remember what I stitched this on. I'm guessing it was probably like a 32 count. It looks like it was a piece of linen that I tea coffee dyed, and I would have stitched it with whatever the called for was, because I'm pretty sure it came as a kit or with the thread and the beads, and then it might have just been the threads and the beads and then the chart, or maybe it was just the chart and the beads. I don't remember. It's been several years. But it is stitched 2/2, and every year he waits for this to come out. And so if my grandma comes over, he'll be like, "You want to see my Boobie?" It must be a man thing. Anyway, so it was a lot of fun. I know this chart is still available, and it was a fun, quick, fast stitch. So I thought I would show it. To be a stinker, I should do like Ghoul on the stool and move Boobie around the house in different places. Just have it pop up randomly when I know he's going to be someplace. Anyway, so as far as all the cross stitching goes, that is all I have to show and share in this video. So if you're not interested in seeing or hearing about the quilting, then I'm going to show next. This is a great stopping off point, and of course I will be back in 2 weeks. And if you are interested in seeing what I am working on in between, you can follow me on Instagram and Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, or I have a Facebook page which is called Pumpkin Hollow Quiltings, and I'll put all of the information down below on how you can track me down if you're interested. But now we're going to talk about the quilts. All right, so first things first is of course Hocuspocusville. This is a pattern that is still widely available. You can get it on the Crabapple Hill website, and I just to double check, I went and looked, and she does have it for sale on her website. I know for a little while it was really hard to get. It might have been out of print, and then within the last couple of years I know that she's brought it back. I don't remember if she just had a bunch of people inquiring about it, so she just went ahead and started selling it again. But I started working on this particular quilt, I want to say it was 2011, it might have been 2010. And it had started off as a block of the month. I didn't do it when it was the block of the month. The first place that I ever saw it was at a quilt shop in Philomath. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was huge. I mean, it was probably she probably had more bolts of fabric in that store than I've ever seen since. But it was a wonderful shop. They had done it as a block of the month, but when I had first saw it, they were just getting ready to do the block of the month. But at the time, I couldn't afford to do it as such because where we lived and then where Philomath was, it was still like 45-minute drive. So it wasn't really economical to participate in the block of the month. So she said when the block of the month was done, which was like a year later, they would just have it for sale. And so I waited and waited and waited. And then my grandma and I went on a shop hop and they had it for sale. So I bought it from the quilt shop, and I decided to, so I went to Joann's and I bought because I wanted it to look kind of, vintagey. So I got some muslin, and I got the stuff that it's not white, it's the, like the antique off-white. And all of the houses I drew it. I have a light box, and so I drew it with the light box. I drew it on there. And then I started stitching the first 3 right after. And so it would have been these ones right here across the top. Those would have been the first 3. And I'll insert some pictures. I was going to do like a separate video where I showed, like scrolling down, but what happens is when you insert, so I have my video going and then I go to insert. The more things I insert, the longer it takes for the uploading to happen. I don't know why, but so I will insert some pictures of like these ones right here, because this one is personalized with my grandma's name. So some of these blocks are personalized. And I think the one up here is my name. And then my husband's is like behind here, and then my kids are down here. So I will, I'll insert pictures of some of the blocks, but I hand embroidered them using a stem stitch. I used DMC 310. And then the pumpkins I did out of orange thread, and I don't remember, it would have also been DMC. I don't remember the number that I used, but it was a lot of fun. So I started off with the first 3, and then I took a break because I was working on a red work quilt for my sister-in-law. It was the 12 Days of Christmas. So started these 3, and then I took a break so I could work on that one. When I finished it right before Christmas, because I'm the type of person that on Christmas Eve, I'm still like finishing. I don't do it anymore. I haven't done it in the last couple of years, but when I was making things to give to family, it was very common for me on Christmas Eve to be diligently finishing the quilts so that I could, give them away the next day. So after Christmas passed, I picked it up again and I went and I finished all of the rest of the blocks. I want to say the total time that I spent working on it was 6 to 8 months. I don't really remember because I did take that long break in between. The blocks themselves, once you get them traced out, they don't take too terribly long. And again, I used a stem stitch, so it went a little bit quicker. You're going, like this is your stitching versus back stitching, which you're going up and down and up and down and up and down to make that stitch. With a stem stitch, you don't really have to worry about them being completely uniform because they all just kind of blend in as you're making curves and, you're going whichever way. Certain blocks probably took a little bit longer depending on, how fussy they were. And then like this one that was way up in the corner, it didn't take as long as like this one would do. So sometimes I would get 2 blocks done in a month. Sometimes it was just a month that it would take me to do one particular block. I would work on them in the evenings just like I do with my cross stitching now. So it wasn't like I was working on them all day, every day. It was only for an hour or 2 because at the time my kids were much younger, especially my son. So I usually started working on them once the kids were in bed, and I'd work on them for a couple of hours. Okay, so before I show you the progress I made on the Farmer's Wife quilt, I wanted to talk about one little thing. So prior to this video, the quilt that was hanging up here was this one. So this is Cut the Mustard by Joe Morton. And I got a lot of questions about that quilt. So the quilt is called Cut the Mustard, and it's out of this book, which is called Tried and True by Joe Morton. This book is still widely available. So if you get this book, it has this quilt in it. Now, the other question I get is, did I buy it as a kit? No. So I had some of the fabric in my stash, and what I didn't have, I purchased from my local quilt shop, which is called the Speckled Hen. and it's in Aurora, Oregon. And I will put a link to her website down below. Anyway, but thank you so much for all of your kind comments in regards to that quilt. It will make its appearance again at some point because, you know, I switch out my quilts all the time. So, you know, this one's going to hang up until Halloween and then it gets switched out and there's a pumpkin one that goes up. So there's always a variety of quilts that are going to go up through the year, and I'm sure it'll make its appearance again soon. So let's talk about the Farmer's Wife quilt. All right, so in my last video, I showed you the progress that I had made on the Farmer's Wife quilt. And it's a quilt that one of my friends sent me. She sent me all of the blocks as well as the fabrics to assemble it. And it comes out of this book here. So it came in the mail and I was super excited. I went and I counted how many blocks there were in typical Olivia fashion. I counted 10 extra blocks than there actually were. So I'm assembling the quilt. I had forgotten how challenging the quilt was to put together. I've ripped it out quite a bit. I've probably put it together and ripped it out enough to make 3 of them. And it's just because I flipped the blocks the wrong way. That's all it was. So anyway, so I'm assembling, getting row after row after row done, and I get down to like the last 4 rows and I look over and I realize that the quilt blocks have diminished. So I'm like, did I misplace them? And I kind of looked around to see if I had, you know, because I'm notorious for when I'm assembling a quilt and if there's a lot of sections to put together and I've stopped in the middle of it, I'm notorious for leaving one of the rows on the ironing board or it's, you know, underneath the finishing fabric. I looked around and no. So I had miscounted and I had to make 10 blocks. And I don't have a computer anymore where I've got the disk drive where you can put it in and then you can print off the templates, and the thought of going and printing all those templates off, just, I've already made the quilt. So I noticed as I was assembling the blocks that a lot of the blocks I'd seen them when I was making my red sampler quilt. And Lori Holt has all of those great 6.5-inch blocks in her book, which is what I need for this, and they look very similar, so I'm like, well, I'm just going to use those. So I went through the book and I pulled 3 or 4, and then I got to thinking, I still have the Civil War diaries. I have the patterns for those, and those are also 6.5-inch blocks. So I went last night and I pulled some of those. So far I have, let's see, 2, 4, I have 6 blocks made, so I just have to make 4 more. So I made this one. So this one came out of the Civil War Diaries book. And then I made this one. This one came out of Lori Holt. This one came out of Civil War Diaries. This one came out of Lori Holt. Telling you, those Farm Girl books, the Farm Girl 1 and 2, they get a quilter out of a jam when she needs some 6.5-inch blocks. They're just gold. Can't tell you how many blocks I've made out of all those books. This one is also out of I think it's the Farm Girl Vintage, and this one is also out of Farm Girl Vintage. So I just have to make 4 more. So the patterns that I pulled are from the Civil War Diary. So my plan is to, over the course of the next, handful of days, I will assemble the 4 and then hopefully get the whole entire quilt together, and then I will have it completed to show you in my next video, but I will show you how far I got. And it's gorgeous. I'm excited, and I've decided that after Christmas, it's gonna hang here, because I don't have anything that goes up in the winter, and so I'm gonna hang it. I'm gonna hang it behind me, so we'll be able to see it in the winter months. But here is how far I got, and it's so hard to show the entire quilt, but it's gorgeous. Oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous. I can't tell you how much I love this quilt. So Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. all gorgeous Civil War reproduction fabric, which I love. So I'm excited. It's been, oh, and I also, here is one of the rows. Here's one of the rows. And I think all I have to do is put the ends on it, and then I can go ahead and attach it to the quilt, but I decided to wait until I finish the last 4 blocks, and then I will go ahead and begin assembling the rest of it. But I love it. I absolutely love it, and I cannot wait to have it done, and I can't wait to see it hanging in here. I just have to wait a couple months. But I love it, love it, love it, love it. I love it. I know I say that a lot, but I love it. All right, guys, well, that brings me to the end of my video. If you stuck around for this length of time, thank you so very, very much. If you have any questions about the Hocus Pocusville quilt, please let me know. It's not a hard quilt at all. I've had a lot of people ask me, is it really difficult? Is it, it seems very daunting. Honestly, it's not. It was a lot of fun. I did it early on in my quilting career. I hadn't been quilting for too terribly long. Or maybe I had, but I think it was like I hadn't done like ones like this before. I had done, other types of quilts. So I was still like green behind the ears, I guess, when I started this quilt. So it was a lot of fun, honestly. It's my favorite quilt out of all of my quilts. I absolutely love it so very, very much. When I die, Allison has claimed it. Ethan has claimed the other one, the Salem, Witches of the Salem Quilt Guild. He claimed that one. So, but anyway, if you have any questions, please let me know. Because I know a lot of you guys, last year when you saw it, you went and you bought it. And a lot of you guys have said it seems like so overwhelming, and it's not. Honestly, it's not. It's an absolute pleasure. You will enjoy it so very much. I promise. I would tell you if a quilt was way difficult or don't do it, but honestly, you will have so much fun. Trust me, trust me, trust me, you will. So I guess that about wraps it all up. In my next video, I will show more of the Halloween decorations and talk about some of the other quilts, because there is a quilt that's across the room that's also hand embroidered. I have several of them, as well as several other quilts, cross stitching and all that, but I thought I would wait until October, and then it's more like Halloween-y festive. So I will talk about that next time. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to leave them down below, or you can always email me, and I will put all that information down in the description box below. But thank you so very much for stopping by today. I appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your September and a good start to your October. And thank you again for stopping by. I appreciate it so much, and I will see you again soon. Bye.